can't hear you.
Yeah, Dr.
Can't hear me at all.
There, I
All
can hear you.
right. So I think we got it now. So what I was waxing on poetic was being blessed to have two guests who are phenomenal here with me today to talk about Riverbend Cancer Services and some of the things that they can be able to deliver with helping people here in the Michiana area. It is a phenomenal gem of really being able to provide a comprehensive approach for both patients as well as their loved ones. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, and I know you guys were trying to send me messages to say you cannot hear me as I was just going on. And as you can see, we have technical difficulties from time to time, but we're not pretentious. We keep rolling. And really the mission of all of this is to really be able to connect to our viewers and have them understand at the end of the day, you have options. And we want you to understand what those options are.
Right.
So thank you again for joining us, ladies.
This is wonderful.
And so for those of you who are trying to be able to kind of get a handle on what exactly we're talking about, let me give you an update so you understand exactly what you're looking at so you can be able to kind of get some semblance. This is the website, which is Riverbend Cancer Services, and you can be able to find it by going to that website, that riverbendcancerservices.org, and you can be able to look up a number of those different things. So first and foremost, you guys aren't a flash in the pan. You've been here for a period of time in terms of dealing with this, have you not? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, Riverbend Cancer Services has been a part of the community for almost 80 years now. Its original inception was medical providers in town who are seeing cancer survivors need more of a psychosocial support, that they needed not only the community support, but also the support that other agencies and organizations could provide. And they started reaching out, not as medical professionals, but as other human beings to support the journey of cancer survivors. That sort of wound around and continued in a really beautiful mission until at some point they also merged with American Cancer Society, which in the past was had a mission to serve local programming as well as be a premier research organization to fight cancer and get more on the preventative side. And the organization continued for a couple decades like that. And then when the American Cancer Society started moving more towards the preventative side and the research component, which is incredible, Riverbend remained a really strong partner with them, but decided to turn their focus on actually intervention after diagnosis for local cancer survivors. And when I say local, I do mean Michiana. And so we've been functioning in that capacity and evolving and building. And it wasn't until probably about 6 years ago that we secured our own physical location where we deliver the bulk of our interventions, programming, counseling services, and things like that. And so now we finally have this really beautiful home that we can share with cancer survivors and their families here in South Bend.
Hey, Laura, can you give us that address of where you guys are located?
On the spot? Yes, I'm just kidding. 3516 East Jefferson Boulevard, which is kind of right on the cusp of the South Bend, Mishawaka border. We are across from United Way, if that's a good landmark for you, but a beautiful little home right there close to the corner of Logan and Jefferson.
So if we're showing a picture of that, it's probably something that looks maybe a little bit like this.
Well, let me check. I think you've got it.
Yeah, let's see for those people who are really trying to be able to see this and it's not quite that clear. Let's see if we can expand that up.
Right. And it was really important for us to make sure that we reduced as many barriers as possible to accessing care. So it is on the bus line.
Okay. So with that, can you tell us a little bit about what are some of the services that you have?
Oh, yeah, I can try. We have so many things and you have so little time, but I want to kind of remind everybody that what Riverbend is really trying to do is not provide any kind of medical care. We really are about the psychosocial support that's necessary to get through a cancer diagnosis. And what do I mean, by psychosocial? I mean sort of the mind-body connection. What are we looking at to support you as you move through your journey? We do, and we take this responsibility really seriously, and we kind of boil it down into 3 different ways that we can support you and give you options as you move through your diagnosis and your survivorship. So the first one is financial assistance. For those people who live in St. Joseph County, we have donors who would like to step up and help with things like copays, or be able to get you that bus pass so that you can get to Riverbend, and a whole host of other ways to support you financially for the specific purpose of reducing the fear and the anxiety that comes from financial burden. The second way that we step up is through our counseling services. Our counseling program is robust. We have counselors here who are trained to work with individuals who are going through difficulties with their cancer. We also extend those counseling services to anyone who is affected by a cancer diagnosis, and that would include the support structure. We often see families. We can do counsels for couples. We've also done individual counseling, and we try to be creative in the way that we can promote mental health through things like art counseling or music therapy. So things along those lines fall into sort of that second category of counseling. The third category is our wellness programming, which I think would be really interesting for a lot of people who are on the call today. Our wellness programming is really about 2 things. The first one is to promote a positive mind-body connection. So Riverbend is not the place where you're going to get ready for participating in some sort of bodybuilding. We're all about making sure that you have reconnected positively with your physical self through the joy of movement. I think I've heard it, and I say it quite often, that motion is lotion. But the second really important thing about our wellness programming is giving people a coping skill that they can use to defeat things like fear, anxiety, and minimize physical ailments like pain. So our wellness, those are sort of the 3 ways that we try to step up and support all people affected by cancer, not just the person who is diagnosed. And we believe that that's important because a healthy environment and a healthy group of people supporting each other goes a lot farther than having to endure a diagnosis in isolation.
Sure. And I know you guys have been doing this for 80 plus years in terms of,
Almost 80 years.
we were conceding the 80, but yes, we will put the qualifier of almost, that's there.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, I wonder, are there some patients that really have difficulty being able to accept the psychosocial component, at least initially? Are there many people who it resonates almost immediately? How do you bridge the gap, and what do you think is present for different people? Can you speak on that?
I can try. This is how I see it. Everyone who experiences pain associated with a cancer diagnosis, when you come to Riverbend, you know that you are becoming a part of a group of survivors. But being able to be a part of that group and be labeled as a survivor is a hurdle for a lot of people. And so, in my mind, when I see someone come to Riverbend and, in essence, when they walk in the door, they are asking for help, I recognize what a difficult decision that could be for them. And it just layers on what a beautiful community we have, because it is not easy to ask for help, and it is extremely difficult to accept help. And we recognize that. And so that's why we never are we're not a pushy sell. We realize that people need to come to this realization that this is best for them at this exact moment in time on their own. And so I think the difference between someone who is ready to pursue help along their psychosocial needs is no different than anybody who is having difficulty accepting help in other ways. I mean, people are resilient and they are proud, and people are proud. And I think that accepting help is a tough thing to do.
Definitely, no doubt about that. I see that across the board. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have a guest soon enough who's going to join and kind of talk about her experience and how she initially experienced the help that you guys provided and now how she's helping others. But before that, we're going to put you kind of front and center and want to know, how did you get into this role? Like, how did you come to this as being like, one of the things that you're doing, that you're helping the community and really touching people's lives and helping make a difference in all of Michiana?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Don't be modest.
Um, I would say, first of all, I think the question really should be, how did you get so lucky? Because I've spent my entire career in nonprofit dabbling in a lot of different areas. The thing that I love most about Riverbend, and what was not the only thing that was attractive to me, but was huge, is that Riverbend does step up and help with psychosocial issues around cancer diagnosis. That is true. But we also actively reduce barriers for people who are in this particular situation. And what I mean by that is that all of the services that we have at Riverbend are free. So it just goes to support like the beauty and the
Can you say that one more time? All your services are what?
free.
They're free.
Yes, they are free.
Wow, that's wild. And I think a lot of people would think differently about that. All right,
Right.
I'll be quiet. I'll let you keep talking.
No, I think it's important to kind of point this out, because when you are going through a cancer diagnosis, we all know that takes a toll on you, and there is something just about having to go through this particular kind of trauma and live through this type of disease is isolating. And I think when you realize that organizations like Riverbend offer things for free, when you make the connection that we actually can't do anything for free, but the idea that other community members are giving dollars specifically so that you can be healthy, is a really beautiful way to, care for people in this situation. And I think knowing that people want to help you, it makes the whole process of accepting the help and seeking the help a lot easier. So I think the reason that I really do love Riverbend and I ended up here was that sort of juxtaposition between having a cancer diagnosis and having the reduction of barriers, so that if for some reason financial need is what's keeping you from accessing wellness programming or individual counseling, which I know can be very expensive, those barriers are now gone. It makes it even easier to make sure that you take care of yourself and that you join a community that values you at the place that you are. And so that's all kind of a part of my identity anyway. So, I mean, it's a really good match for me.
Okay. Yeah. And actually, one of our viewers really just commented just a second or so ago, very hard to ask for help. And
Very.
being able to kind of reduce those barriers are huge for people to feel comfortable being able to move forward and really get that help.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, it's great to talk about it theoretically, but what we really want to be able to do is to kind of put, a context of a face to this, who was actually the person who brought all this to me. It wasn't like I came up, oh yeah, I'm going to figure this out. I had someone who said, you know what, Dr. Landrum, get off your keister and really start looking at a service that's phenomenal. And you need to have this on a live stream if your live stream is going to be worth anything. And so accordingly, she's like, I didn't say all that, but that was the implication that was in place. And so I really love to have you talk to us a little bit about your own personal experience. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes. And I just wanted to tell you that my cancer started in 2009. I had breast cancer first. 2010, I had a lung cancer. 2014, I had another lung cancer. And the first two cancers, I got this. I don't need anybody. I can deal with this. When I was diagnosed with my third one, I needed help. And that's when I found Riverbend. And I always consider them like a new best friend, because it's a wellness house, and it really does help. even if you're just getting to know other cancer survivors, or just talking in a comfortable place that you're okay with. It's everybody knows that you're either a cancer survivor or caregiver or whatever, and you have common things without having to say that, I guess is. And so I started going to some of the classes there, and then I decided, well, I talked to Laura, is one that kind of pushed me into training for being an instructor, and I just love it. And it's just the strength of the people that come there, and just watching them get better is so amazing to me, and it's such a gift. And I am blessed to have them in my life, along with you, Dr. Landrum.
I don't know about all that. Well, we're going to stick to the topic. So,
Okay.
so what do you teach, and can you tell us how that helps people?
I teach seated strength, and a lot of times people are afraid that they're going to hurt themselves, or they're just kind of afraid to be in a group setting to exercise. So I make it fun. We listen to oldies music, which you can't put on some of these things, but I can do it in my class. And they love it. We have fun, we laugh. Not only is it exercise by lifting weights or stretching bands, we get to laugh. We get core exercise that way, facial exercises that way. It is just, I teach seated strength, so there's nothing that you have to do you don't have to be able to stand up to do this. Mm-hmm. And right now we're doing it outside, which is lovely. I do it Monday mornings from 10 to 11, and it's been great to be able that we didn't have to be inside, that we could still able to do the things that we can do with the pandemic, because we can be 6 feet away.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question, because I know for some of our viewers who may not originally kind of think about this, but how key is that seated portion to people feeling like they can do this? Because when you talk about strength training, people are really kind of thinking that, oh, this might be incredibly daunting. This is too much for me. I don't know if I really feel comfortable. It's not something I even did before. So now I got to talk about doing this at one of the times when it's most challenging. So how are you able to kind of help people feel like, you know what, this could be for me before they're there and they're really experiencing all of the personality of what you bring?
I ask people to come. You don't even have to participate. You can just watch us in the beginning. If that's what you prefer, if you're afraid to join us, you don't have to do the movements. You can sit there and watch. It's okay. But I am in the mind of, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. So I'm not real strict. You lift your right arm, you lift your left leg. I just say, lift your arm, lift your leg. The movement is what is so important, and being there with others that are, kind of all in the same boat. We need to be able to move, and a lot of people don't in this situation, because they have issues. I show them different ways to be able to move a little bit also, even if it's just lifting your leg from the floor, that much. Every little movement is helpful, and never discriminate against anybody or laugh at anybody because they're saying, I can't do this right. It's more like we're all laughing together because none of us can do it right,
Sure. I wonder, and maybe I might be kind of delving and missing it, and I know you would have no problem telling me when I am, and that is, can sometimes that physical activity help you be able to have a little bit more of community and camaraderie, and you're trying to do these things together, and maybe that kind of lends itself to then be able to talk about some other challenges from a different perspective outside of the class itself?
Oh, yes, definitely. And as people are leaving class, there's a lot of conversation like that. Somebody maybe wasn't at class this week because they had a doctor's appointment, and we knew that, so they might have said, I'm not going to be here next week because I have a doctor's appointment. So when they come back, they're like, oh, how did your appointment go? Was it with your cancer doctor? Was everything okay? Last week, a lady came and her husband had been diagnosed with cancer. They had been going for all kinds of treatment, and she just got information or said that he was all clear. And so, those kind of things for everybody, it's like, oh, yes, we're on it. And everybody is there to share that with them too. And that is a great community for this illness, I guess.
Okay, so I want to make sure, because I know you guys have a short time that I have to have the ability to be able to kind of have you on here with me to be able to kind of answer people's questions and such. So for someone who said, you know what, this is something that I need, or something that one of my loved one really need, what's the process about how they would get to being able to take advantage or at least be connected? What do they need to do?
It's so complicated. They have to call our phone number.
That's how easy it is.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the shortest answer that I could possibly give. It really, call Riverbend. Come and take a tour. But really, it's about reaching out, and that's pretty much the extent of how do you connect with us.
Okay. And so when we're looking for that contact information, just so I can make sure we have everything here so people can hopefully be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you could tell it, but we also want to have people be able to see it.
Right.
From what I have, it looks like 574-287-4197. Is that right?
Got it. Mm-hmm. You've got it. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. And those are the office hours where we have, a client advocate that will answer the phone and answer any questions that you might have, maybe even set you up for an appointment, something along those lines. And the building is open. So if you wanted to drop by anytime during the open hours, those hours will be lengthened starting after Labor Day. And so we'll have even, the building will be open even later. Some of our evening classes, the building is open, but the phones are not manned by by the client advocate. So there's a lot more programming going on outside of those hours. So if for some reason someone's looking at those hours and they're saying, I'm working full time, how would I ever get it to be able at Riverbend? Well, we actually have classes like yoga and Tai Chi and meditation and Zumba, right? Zumba coming that happen in the evening. It's just the phones aren't manned.
Okay. Actually, we have another question or statement coming in from one of our guests. And what that is are there any other locations, or do you have any other sister sites or people you partner with that maybe you might be able to serve as a reference for?
That's a great question. We don't have any other locations, but we have a lot of partners. I think that if there was something that we were looking for specifically, I would call the office, the client advocate, and say, is there something closer to where I live? But we're pretty centrally located in South Bend, so in Michiana. And we do have people who travel to the building from, everywhere from out by New Carlisle up to past Niles and into St. Joe, definitely coming from Edwardsburg. So we do have a lot of traffic that comes from outside the county to our wellness programs. But the actual answer is no, we don't have a second site.
Okay. So how does your support group / network component work? Like what do patients experience? How does that work?
What do you think, Robin Sue? Should I talk about that? Robin Sue's an old hat at support groups, but we have a lot of different support groups. So I guess the first question that you would ask is, what kind of support do I want to have? So for instance, if you are a man who is going through cancer and you feel that you want the support of other men, then the group for you would be our men's support group. if you have gynecological cancers and you're looking for a lot of information, you would join a support group that has to do with gyne girls. Otherwise, what we offer, our general support group, is on Wednesday evenings, the first and third of the month. That usually runs from 5:30 to 6:30. It's a drop-in support group, so it's not structured. You're not moving through a curriculum, and other than cancer, which is the uniting factor, there isn't something more that you want to get out of it. So it really depends on what it is that you want out of your support group, and then we can direct you to how we can help you and connect you with others. Does that sound right, Robin Sue?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we got a few more questions, because I know that this is kind of running on a ticker, and you guys are like, "Let's go, let's go." But be that as it may, I do want to kind of put in a little bit plug for our live stream and some of the things that we have. So at the bottom of the screen is how you can be able to connect and see this at a later point in time. For those of you who aren't live, but you feel like this is going to be useful to others, please take a look at our YouTube channel at Cutting Edge Pain Relief. And for those of you who want more information that's a little bit more detailed, we also have a newsletter that you can be able to see and check it out and kind of have some ideas about what's going on. So our next question that we're going to pose you ladies in just a few seconds after we take a quick break is, what kind of coping strategies do you have for those people that have pain? And we're going to talk about that when we come back in just a second. So again, thank you for joining us. We are talking to Riverbend Cancer Services and being able to get insight from both of our guests, really talking about how there are different coping strategies that are out there, maybe in helping to be able to reduce pain. And maybe if you two ladies could be able to speak to that, I would greatly appreciate it.
You want to go first?
Yes, if you don't mind. I did some art counseling at Riverbend, and I was amazed at how calming and mindful, I guess, you are during something like that. I was kind of like a guinea pig for that to begin with, and it was just amazing. And I wear a Apple Watch where you can watch your heart rate, and I was shocked to review my heart rate after my 2 hours with art counseling, as to how calming that was for me. And so that's something that I would recommend to anybody, that even if you don't think you have any kind of art skills, I don't feel like I do. So, but Laura?
Oh, okay, I'm up. I would say pain and the experience of pain is about as individual as each human being is, and what pain does to the body is going to also be different. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. The way that we try to work with those options at Riverbend is all of our wellness programming is available to anyone who can make it to the building free of charge. And all of our instructors understand the physical limitations that you may or may not be under. Motion, like I said, is lotion. And so we use all of our programming to sort of reconnect the mind and the body in a way that allows you to continue to move and use those skills that you learn in the class to continue to promote your own physical health. But I'm going to piggyback also off of what Robin Sue said, which is that in individual counseling, there's a lot of talk, because although I also serve as the executive director at Riverbend, I'm also a staff counselor there. The idea of reducing the fear and the anxiety and the apprehension around your diagnosis and around your pain, and teaching individualized coping skills in that counseling relationship is extremely therapeutic and can open a lot of windows into how you can use things like meditation, grounding skills, distraction skills, things along those lines that would help create a skeleton, if you'd like, or a framework of where you may start to ease your own pain and sort of accommodate your own journey as you move through it. So we have a few different ways that we go about that, and a few options for you to choose from that would be available, and I think would really impact the individual on that particular journey.
Okay, so to that end, let me ask you, for healthcare providers, and that doesn't mean just physicians, that is a broad range of individuals, from nurse practitioners to counselors in the community, they really may want to avail themselves of the really centralized source of what you guys have in terms of being able to help people that are really outside their scope. How do they be able to connect their patients or basically to you so that you can serve as a resource and be able to help people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say the bulk of the people that we see at Riverbend were referred by their physician. We have strong relationships with the oncology departments at all of the larger regional medical centers, as well as some of the more newer options that are specific to maybe breast cancer. And so your provider probably already knows, and if they don't know, picking up the phone really is the way to go about that. And we can absolutely send off a referral form. And that is just a very simple, why are they being referred? And then we take it from there. So it's a very simple process. I want to reiterate that because Riverbend, we do serve quite a few people, but we are quite small. And so we're not very bureaucratic. It's a pretty agile and quickly able to accommodate new needs and new referrals as they come in.
Okay. So to that end, let me pose this to you, because I'm sure I've missed some of the nuggets that you guys have. So if there are certain things that you're like, you know what, we need to talk about this, what are some of the questions that I should have asked you that I didn't? So that way you can be able to answer those dynamics for us.
You're perfect. No.
I can tell you, my mother certainly thinks differently, and she can tell you about it too.
I think what I want to say is that the topic of cancer, the topic of pain, these are heavy topics, right? These conversations have a lot of gravity to them, and I think what I really want people to know, and that you may not have gotten from being able to talk to or see Rob and Sue and I, is that Riverbend is a joyful place. It is a place of healing and support in the midst of some of these more dark topics. We don't like ignore the dark topics, but it is so supportive and full of life that I think that the actual culture of what we do is this extremely joyful place. And I don't know if you can kind of get that from what we were talking about. And I don't exactly know how you would have asked that question. So I don't kind of want to say that you missed that. I just want to assure people who would want to reach out and access our services that it is a place of happiness and hopefulness, that we want to support you in your journey. And that's exactly what we do every single day.
I missed it, and I think that is exactly what should have been said. So to this end, for those individuals who are watching and maybe missed the first portion of this and might be joining late, again, how do they connect? Where can they find you? How do they figure out where this resource happens to be?
Yeah, 574-287-4197. We are located in South Bend, Indiana, on the corner of Jefferson and basically Logan. Any of the services that we provide are available to you if you can make your way to the building. So it's that there are no barriers between you and being able to access what we offer.
Okay. Well, again, ladies, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your time. Appreciate you talking about this important topic, and actually everything that you do here for those people who are some of those individuals who are in the most need and really need that support, that connection, that ability to be able to, to really push forward in their lives and be able to have someone who understands what it is that they're going through.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us and doing all the things that you do, and also being able to provide a resource for those people who may not know about you and certainly should.
Yeah. Yeah. Love the opportunity to talk to some new people. We really, really appreciate this.
And I know you guys do some other things besides just wellness alone. So I want to kind of maybe push a little segue out. Maybe we guys can have you back and have you talk a little bit about some other things that you do as well.
Sure.
So if we're giving them a teaser, what are some of the other things that you guys do besides just wellness?
I mean, above and beyond sort of how I laid everything out, we always have events, things that are fun. I think the last thing that I had a great time doing, Robin Sue roped in an incredible musician. We had him come and play on the back patio, enjoying really delicious but also healthy, nutritious snacks, just as sort of an end of summer bash. And those kinds of things come up pretty regularly. We're a party happy kind of crowd, so we make up things as we go, but I would say things along those lines are what makes Riverbend fun and engaging, and gives you a reason to come back to the building.
Okay, again, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you joining us, and we'd love to have you back. All right, ladies, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.